Hello, beautiful people. Carl here from Brrraains A Head-Banging Life. gbhblofficial.com for sure. I want to start this review roundup, I guess, of Welcome to Derry, episodes 1 and 2, with a poem. It's a poem I did not expect to ever really read again. But yeah, here we are. See the turtle of enormous girth, on his shell he holds the earth. His thoughts are slow but always kind. He holds us all within his mind. On his back all vows are made. He sees the truth but mayn't aid. He loves the land and loves the sea, and he even loves a child like me. If you'd said to me beforehand, dude, when you sit down to watch Welcome to Derry, a prequel TV show surrounding the titular character of Pennywise, the town of Derry, Stephen King's It story, and that you would end up referencing Dark Tower material and the wider Stephen King world, I would have said, what are we doing? And why are we doing this? Do we really need another goddamn universe-building show? I would have been very anti it. But having watched the first 2 episodes, I must admit to have thoroughly enjoying the references, the hints, and the overarching Kingverse? I mean, what do we want to call this? The Kingiverse? The Stephen King-verse? Whatever it is, you know it's going to end up with a stupid name. But it's just something so unexpected, and it's been a bit of a joy to kind of explore and, like, take note of things that even I didn't notice in the first 2 episodes. There's plenty. I am far from a Stephen King expert. I've grown up with King. I've read tons of his books. I call myself a fan of the author, particularly like things like The Dark Tower and some of the more classic stories. I've seen tons of his adaptations. In fact, we reviewed a lot of them on the site and on the YouTube channel. But even then, there's a lot I still don't know or notice. It's been really intriguing watching other people's videos and reading up about them and going, oh, that was cool, I missed that, and so on. Some of it's been quite obvious. Obviously, it's kind of plot related as well. So, links to The Shining and The Dark Tower and things like that have been more obvious. But it's been really exciting and fun to see. But alongside that, I'm just going to summarize it here. I have really freaking enjoyed what Welcome to Derry has given us so far in episodes 1 and 2. Episode 2 more than episode 1. I'm going to explain why in a moment. But yeah, 2 episodes in, I'm digging it. It's just coming from someone who actually isn't that big of a fan of the It franchise. Now, I grew up with the TV movie, like a lot of you did. I'm of that age. And just like a lot of you, nostalgia has blinded me sometimes to the fact that that movie actually isn't that good. I know, hold your booze. You can like it. This isn't me telling you you can't like it. Like what you like. I don't care. I like it for the most part, but when you rewatch it, holy hell, not only does it not hold up, but it's really bad in places, really boring in places. And aside from some inspired moments, the obviously brilliant Tim Curry as Pennywise the Clown, some of the good scares, it's just not very good. And I kind of feel that way about the book too. I've read the book. I also had some head-scratching moments during that. So it's not one of my favourites. It didn't leave long in the memory, if I'm honest. So when they said, okay, we're going to remake it a few years ago and split it into 2 films, I kind of thought, yeah, this is smart. And this is actually one where I can get on board. And I'm not obviously on board with the constant remakes, re-releases, reimaginings, and all of that nonsense in horror. But I felt like it deserved another go, deserved a tighter, better, more modern look at it. And yeah, it's Bill Skarsgård, isn't it? One of the Skarsgårds. It's Bill Skarsgård who played Pennywise. I thought did a really good job. Created his own version of Pennywise too. So the 2 icons stand side by side. Bill Skarsgård's Pennywise does not replace Tim Curry's Pennywise and vice versa. They don't overshadow each other. They're just different versions. And I think stylistically, both films are different too. They offer different things. So I was happy with the modern It. Saying that, I didn't love either. I thought It Chapter 1 was more enjoyable because I really liked the young cast. And I thought the kids were great in that. I think it had more scares. I think it was more imaginative world. It Chapter 2 didn't quite land for me. And again, they really struggled to come up with an ending, didn't they? Fucking King in that bloody ending. It really, really does wreck it, doesn't it? I mean, the Chapter 2 is at least a little better done than the TV movie, but neither is good, and neither is befitting of what, like, Pennywise is, the entity, the thing, the creature, what it is beyond the film and the book. Like, the wider universe Pennywise. That's what I'm really excited about, what Welcome to Derry is going to explore. The entity and what it's capable of, and how it's much bigger than just a monster that lives in the sewers and feeds on kids' fears. You know, how many modern people really understand that Pennywise isn't a clown. Like, that's just a form it takes. That's something I think Welcome to Derry is doing a good job of really getting across. I think the film did an okay job, but I think, again, it got stuck in the whole, hey, let's stick with the clown and everybody finds it scary, rather than playing around with the fact that it can be anything. It's a shape shifter. And I think Welcome to Derry's doing a great job of that, particularly as 2 episodes in. Outside of Eyes, you're not seeing Pennywise as you know Pennywise. And I'm hoping they're going to kind of keep it that way for the most part of the run. You know, let's try and step away from the clown idea. Obviously, you're going to got to throw it in there just for a round of applause moment. But so far, so good in that regard. And I really, starting it, because I initially was a little bit hesitant to kind of start it. Particularly because of the weekly episodic side of things. But I decided, you know what, I'm sitting here one night, let me start it and see what I think. Maybe I can end up doing some videos about it. I thought about doing it with one of the other guys, one of the other gang, and then I was like, you know what, I don't have time, let me just do my own episode by episode review. And this one, obviously, talking about the first 2 episodes. Initially, I thought, okay, here's a great way to expand upon the story and the world in general. I'm really excited by that. Maybe, I was thinking, maybe we'll actually do a lot more character-related stuff rather than focusing on the horror. It's arguable at the moment. It's still up in the air with 2 episodes in, but I am enjoying what I've seen so far in that regard. But I also really thought, cool, because this is a prequel, we have to go to a different time. We're dealing with some interesting ideas. It being set in the Cold War era, really cool. This creates a whole new level of paranoia and ties in things that I didn't expect. I'm thoroughly enjoying that side of things too. Immediately, with episode 1, I was hooked by how it looked and how it felt. It felt like the era. I will say, you know, while I'm saying that, some backgrounds I thought looked a little fake. I will talk a little bit more about the CGI later on, which is a little bit off. But you know what? I'm also not too mad at it, because I think this is a TV show and a franchise that gets away with being a bit more cartoony in places. From episode 1, it really, to me, is a couple of highlights. It was a bit of an up and down episode, kind of obviously dealing with trying to get story out there, trying to get you back into the franchise, but also trying to deliver some frights as well. It's all really set around a couple of scenes. The car scene. I mean, I'm going to try and avoid spoilers here, but I am going to reference things from it. But the car scene is very tense, and then that birthing scene is really full on. It does obviously bring about the flying demon baby thing, which is where I was like, ooh, I'm not too sure about the CGI, and is it a bit too much? But I really liked it, and I love how that it's kind of a cold opening, a long cold opening that ends up connecting to the main cast, a group of kids and teens that I thought immediately were really likable. I also like that we build immediately on the psychological damage these youngsters have experienced to date, a lot of which relates to their missing friend. It's all linking together, but also Derry in general, and the kind of thing that the film has always played around, which is the adults just don't really pay attention to the kids. It is, just like the films, but I think done better in Welcome to Derry. Easy to see how Pennywise targets them, how they become easy targets. And I really enjoyed the very mix of characters it was showing, cultural backgrounds and religions, and history. I love that that's something that Pennywise is able to use and target them. It's crazy, like how we go from this really dark table scene about the suffering of Jews. It kind of, because of the era, it's so much closer to World War II than we are today. And we're talking, about the Holocaust and the horror that the Jews have suffered during that period of time. From that to here's a dead skin masked lamp scare that is so over the top. It's hilarious to a degree. It does make it a little harder to take seriously, and it's kind of what I meant about the up and down aspect of episode 1, where I was kind of like, all right, I'm into this. I'm vibing with what they're doing. I'm really intrigued by more deeper layers of characters and the horrors of reality. Oh, also, here's some garish-ass dead skin mask lamp, flying demon baby, and some mad shit in episode 2. Of course, alongside that, we got the stuff on the army base and how we're linking into the Halloran's. That's a really cool idea too. Soviet paranoia, Cold War paranoia, secret fucking underground stuff going on. The gas mask group attack at the base was very exciting and added a whole new layer of things too. I really dug all of that. Basically, it had me hooked, even though I wasn't always loving every particular scene. The ending to the pilot, which episode 1, is probably one of the strongest parts of it, using the 1950s musical The Music Man, and then kind of incorporating Pennywise antics into it. It's kind of similar, if you It Chapter 1, the modern It Chapter 1, the part in the garage, with the picture frames, that was a great sequence in the film, and this has got that as well, but done in a really clever way. It leads to the flying mutant baby returning, bigger, meaner, in this great scene in the cinema. It's frantic, it's intense, and a really unexpected finish that changes the tone significantly. I was genuinely like, oh, okay, right, that's cool, that's quite unexpected, and I thought, well, okay, they'll undo that in episode 2, right? They didn't. Genuinely surprised by that. Absolutely love it. And then we lead into episode 2, seeing how a town deals with such a tragedy, looking for a scapegoat. And in this time, because in this episode we kind of lean more into, the easy targets as we lean into racial issues. It is this time of the year, and although the world is changing and America is changing, bigotry still fucking exists. I mean, look at the year we're in now, and there's still a bunch of racist shitheads out there talking their nonsense. Think about how hard this would have been, even though times are changing. It's forced, but... And welcome to Derry, it's forced. People are being forced to it rather than necessarily wanting to do it willingly. But there's also good people that just, aren't making a whole thing of it. It's just changing times. And I think Welcome to Derry really handles that well without feeling too ham-fisted in. And it feels natural to the story, particularly as, we're using scapegoats here because someone is black and they're an easy target. And, it's naturally someone then dressed up as a killer. It's an easy target, basically. I really like that idea. And here as well, we start to lean into other dynamics. I really like the school dynamics and what's going on there. The desire to be popular, particularly as they're dealing with the fallout of a tragedy and the confusion around kids about what really happened, what they saw, what they experienced. Of course, we're building in this episode now on the Hallorans. In particular, we're actually experiencing and meeting an important figure from The Shining. It's all really good stuff. I found myself really compelled with episode 2 more than episode 1. I liked episode 1. Episode 2 was great. And we kind of start to deal with more familiar It stuff as well. The adults' failings to the kids. It's always an aspect I really enjoyed about It. And I think the modern films versions did it better than the TV movie. But even that also try to play around. I think King writes it best, but here we kind of get an idea where adults fail to see kids. We'll try and stay out of it. And the manipulation is all very It. And speaking of that, of course, alongside that, we have horror. We have scenes that are basically 2 major scenes in this that are Pennywise's antics towards 2 young girls. One, and basically taking advantage of their issues. Here he uses guilt over a mother's death in childbirth to do probably the show's most visually impressive and dark scene to date. It is very, very cool. It's also where we get the eyes. It looks great, kept in darkness so the CGI holds up better, but I think the tone of it is just so horrible. The acting is immense, of course, as well. Love this one. Later on, we get one in a more brighter light, done in a supermarket, that is all about scares and background stuff, and ends in some really, really cool effects. I think this is probably the best effects so far in the show, what we get here in the supermarket. And I really like the character that happens to as well. In fact, all the characters... Considering the show has already killed off some major players, or what I thought were major players, and is now effectively having to not restart because it's using some of the survivors from that and introducing some new ones. I really like these actors. I really like these kids. There's even some really funny scenes as well. There's a great one in the school using the tune You'll Never Walk Alone, which if you're from the UK, you associated one thing and it means you never want to hear it again unless you're a fan of said football club. But here you use the old school version done in a really comedy way. It's very, very funny. I really like that scene. It made me smile and made me immediately warm to that character. Great cast, great actors. I really enjoyed the hell out of episode 2, especially as this is where we really get the King verse, so to speak. This is where we really start to delve into it and start to connect the stuff in the later It films, including an ending that relates directly to like a newspaper clipping moment in It Chapter 1, I think it is, as well as dealing with the wider King verse, the wider King universe, including The amount of references throughout to the turtle. Marathon, basically, is the one that keeps getting referenced here. One of the guardians of the beams. Like, I can't even believe I'm talking about this. We've had a Dark Tower movie. For better or worse, we've had one. And it kind of pretty much was the end of it. We've always said in our little group that it had to be a show, but no one's brave enough to do it. Well, maybe this is how we get there. We start building a Kingverse and getting people intrigued about this wider world, because goddamn, wouldn't that be awesome? But yeah, to even get these references, it's really, really interesting. However, I also think, goddamn it, it's also likely to be something that's maybe off-putting. And I understand this because I can't stand to watch most superhero stuff these days, because to watch Marvel in particular, to watch a Marvel film, you need to have watched 3 films beforehand, but you also need to watch the TV show that aired 2 years ago. But alongside that, it'd be helpful if you read up on the lore and then read comic books and all that kind of thing at the same time. I find it infuriating when sometimes you just want to watch a film. There's no harm in following along in a series, but when it involves these constant sidesteps and is the need to watch and read up more lore and have seen these other things, I understand how off-putting that can be. I find it off-putting in the superhero universe, so I can completely understand how it could be off-putting to others. But I think Welcome to Derry is doing it carefully enough here that it's going to be okay, provided they don't go too heavy with this stuff. At the moment, it's really Easter eggs and references and kind of just trying to drop hints to say, look, these are all, like all of King's books, these do have links. A lot of this stuff links together and characters do cross over and they're referenced, you know. The problem is there's a lot of people who are going to be watching this only really knowing the film. So, you know, people are going, oh, Dick Halloran, that's the guy from The Shining. Oh, and that's all they're going to know. And to say to them, oh, well, no, you need to read the book and understand a character had... People aren't going to do that, and it's unfair to demand that. So you've got to tell the story in a more understandable way. You say, well, oh, fuck them then, I'll watch it, but then it won't be a hit. The show has to be a hit, otherwise you won't get a season 2 or an expanded universe or other ideas. You won't have network going, you know what, that worked really well, let's green light a story that links all the a Dark Tower story and all of that. There has to be a balance. At the moment, 2 episodes in, I'm pleased with the balance. I hope it stays that way. And but then also on like a, fuck them, I like all of this shit and I know I fit a bit about it. Give me more. I want to see Dark Tower stuff. But no, I don't really. I'm really enjoying it so far. I didn't expect to, as I said, because I'm not the biggest It fan. And I do think nostalgia blinds people to that original film. And while like I said, I do like the 2 modern It chapters, there's nothing there that I've really been like, wow, they're the best films ever or anything like that. So far, so good for this show. I'm really looking forward to coming back and talking about it episode by episode. So I'm going to wrap this up there. Episode 1, up and down, but definitely watchable and does enough to make you watch episode 2. And that is where this show really gets good. Welcome to Derry, episodes 1 and 2. There's my thoughts on it. What do you reckon? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It does help us out. You can find us at gbhblofficial and across all social media platforms. And if you really want to give us a bit of extra support, please consider buying us a cup of coffee over on our coffee page. Thank you.